Hey people, Asian perspective joining. What you see on monitors is beside the point. If current pricing concerns you, you're distracted. You're counting steps while the bridge collapses. The genuine headline isn't the number flashing before your eyes. What truly matters carries far more weight than any figure hovering around the $80 mark. That's merely surface noise, a distraction from the earthquake happening beneath our feet. The actual story centers on one individual, one statement, and that statement originates from Elon Musk. During our fixation on price movements, while trading algorithms battled over fractions, one of Earth's wealthiest individuals, Tesla's chief executive, the leader of our planet's dominant solar power corporation, stepped onto X, the platform previously known as Twitter, and delivered 4 words that fundamentally altered this market's direction permanently. His response to coverage regarding the shortage situation read simply, "This is not good. Silver is needed in many industrial processes." To someone unfamiliar with context, these appear casual, like mere commentary. But understanding the source transforms everything. We're not hearing from some portfolio manager concerned about quarterly returns. We're not listening to financial television personalities chasing viewer engagement. This voice belongs to someone whose entire industrial empire, spanning electric vehicles at Tesla, solar installations at Solar City, and electronics aboard SpaceX rockets, operates entirely dependent on this metal. Consider the fundamental physics. Silver stands as the periodic table's champion conductor. No substitution exists. This isn't negotiable for advanced technology sectors. High-efficiency solar panels require silver paste without exception. EV battery management demands silver contacts universally. Physics refuses compromise. Therefore, when Musk declares this problematic, his concern transcends pricing. Cost doesn't matter whether the metal reaches $79 or $100. His wealth provides unlimited purchasing capacity. His genuine worry centers on availability itself. His statement translates directly, "Procurement worries me. Supply chain vulnerability concerns me. The paper trading system deceives while physical inventories vanish." This marks the narrative's transformation point. Throughout the previous 5 years, we've engaged in financial combat. Silver enthusiasts versus banking institutions, retail participants versus short sellers. A contest of paper leverage, forced liquidations, and coordinated buying pressure. We desired upward price movement. They pushed for declines. Pure gambling. Yet starting this morning, financial warfare concludes, industrial warfare commences. When the world's largest industrial silver consumer publicly recognizes shortage conditions, we shift from speculation into survival mode. Tesla cannot manufacture silver through printing. They cannot derivative their path around scarcity. Without physical material, production halts. Halted production crashes stock values. Crashed stocks destabilize the empire. Musk carries effective short exposure to physical silver, short in the sense of requiring what he lacks. Unlike banking institutions settling through cash, Musk must settle using actual metal. Comprehend this distinction? When JP Morgan holds short positions and prices climb, they experience monetary losses. They issue payment, painful but survivable. When Tesla faces shortage conditions and supply exhausts, they forfeit production capability. They cease functioning as viable manufacturers of future technology. His tweet therefore signals every technology sector executive, from Tim Cook at Apple to Samsung's leadership to Korean battery manufacturers, that the scramble initiates now. He effectively fired the starting gun for massive corporate accumulation. Previously, these corporations operated under just-in-time inventory philosophy. They maintained several weeks' worth of material because they trusted the established system. They trusted London storage facilities. They believed metal procurement remained perpetually accessible through simple dealer contact. Musk's communication destroys that confidence. He examines identical data streams we monitor, the inventory cliff edge, the deficit situation, the China developments. His realization, just-in-time transforms into not-in-time. Consequences? Samsung reads his statement. They panic. They contact their refinery demanding, "Double our 2026 order. Actually triple it and vault it ourselves, not through you." Apple observes the same message. They panic. They secure strategic reserves. This initiates inventory hoarding cycles, precisely what occurred with toilet paper during 2020, except involving strategic material powering global economic function. Everyone attempts simultaneous purchasing, not for speculation, but ensuring operational continuity. When industrial giants begin hoarding, pricing creates vacuum effects. They don't bid incrementally, they sweep entire order books. Everything at 79, everything at 85, everything at 90. This explains today's 79.57 peak. Markets front-run inevitable corporate panic. Algorithms recognize that Musk doesn't comment on commodities without material problems existing. They understand his supply chain intelligence exceeds anyone's globally. If he identifies shortage, shortage exists. Honestly, Musk isn't merely observing, he catalyzes events. Remember his Bitcoin addition to Tesla's balance sheet? Bitcoin doubled within weeks. We're hearing whispers, supported by his tweet, suggesting Tesla may pursue direct stakes in mining production or physically stockpile material hedging against shortage. If that announcement drops, if filings reveal Tesla purchasing physical silver, $100 isn't the target. 100 becomes the floor. Therefore, the 79.57 all-time high isn't bubble territory. Markets awaken, recognizing pricing has remained too depressed for incentivizing new supply across decades. Current users now pay consequences. Silver endured treatment as paper plaything for 40 years. Today reclaims status as critical strategic asset. Pricing rises because actual users realize sellers, the paper markets, have lied about availability. But here's the frightening element. Musk's alarm isn't just about general supply shortfalls. He isn't simply analyzing mining charts and calculating. He's focused on one specific calendar date, arriving in fewer than 4 days. He knows something mainstream coverage ignores. He knows that January 1st, 2026 activates history's single largest silver market disruption. He knows the world's largest refined silver producer prepares to lock gates. Musk's tweet responded to this specific news. He understands the China export licensing system isn't mere bureaucratic restructuring, it's blockade implementation. When you grasp what China intends, the specific thresholds, credit requirements, supply nationalization, you'll comprehend why Elon Musk worries. You'll understand why $79 silver represents opportunity, because Beijing's current actions constitute checkmate against Western industrial infrastructure. They're not just tightening markets, they're capturing them. This leads us into this new policy's details because the fine print absolutely terrifies anyone requiring silver outside China. This represents the specific nightmare keeping Elon Musk awake currently, not vague feelings about depleting mines, a specific hard deadline striking global supply chains in exactly 4 days. January 1st, 2026 marks when game rules change permanently. China, the world's dominant refiner and processor, officially implements new export licensing for silver. Normally, export license suggests boring paperwork, bureaucrats stamping forms. Don't be deceived. In Chinese Communist Party language, export license politely substitutes for blockade. We've analyzed this new regulation's fine print. It's designed accomplishing one thing: strangling global markets while hoarding domestic supply. Requirements activating next week. Qualifying for silver export licenses out of China demands companies prove two things. First, annual production capacity minimally reaching 80 tons. Second, establish credit lines approximately 30 million US dollars. Why do these specific numbers matter? They're guillotines, designed severing small and mid-sized export market heads. Hundreds of smaller refineries, trading houses, independent brokers who previously supplied Western markets with silver become instantly disqualified. Too small, insufficient volume, inadequate credit lines. Overnight, they're banned from selling material to Apple, to Tesla, to Samsung. Where does their silver go? Cannot leave the country, therefore stays in China. Floods local Shanghai markets, goes directly to BYD, to KTL, to Chinese solar giants. This represents calculated resource nationalism. China effectively declares, we produce solar panels, we produce EV batteries, we need the silver. Why should we export our strategic advantage to the West? This exact playbook mirrors their rare earth metal strategy a decade ago. They tightened export quotas, crushed foreign competition, forced every major technology company relocating manufacturing to China for raw material access. Now repeating with silver. Timing isn't accidental. They're executing this right as global deficits hit critical mass, closing doors just as the building ignites. Elon Musk sees this. He knows China controls massive percentage of refined silver supply chain. Even when ore originates from Mexico or Peru, much flows through Chinese smelters and refiners. When that flow stops, global supply chain snaps. China controls roughly 60 to 70% of global refined silver processing capacity. When they restrict exports, global pricing becomes mythical. Two prices emerge: price inside China where metal exists, and price outside China where panic reigns. This explains why arbitrage we discuss is dead. Western traders used to claim, if silver is expensive in London, we'll simply buy from Shanghai and ship over. Not anymore. You can't ship over. You lack the license. You're not state-approved entities. Metal is trapped. This creates physical iron curtain. One side, China's industrial machine gets priority access. Other side, Western industry, Musk's industry, fights for scraps in markets that just lost their biggest supplier. This explains why the 79 price tag just begins. Markets attempt pricing a supply shock that hasn't officially started yet. January 1st is the start date. What happens in February when US electronics manufacturers attempt ordering their usual shipments from Chinese suppliers and receive force majeure notices? When they realize they can't acquire metal at any price because governments won't issue stamps, they'll turn to COMEX, they'll turn to London. But as we know, those vaults are already draining. Chinese export ban forces all Western demand into Western vaults, which accelerates the squeeze, concentrates panic into New York and London, transforms shortage into crisis. And you must ask yourself, why now? Why January 1st, 2026? Because China sees the numbers too. They observe the deficit. They see global demand hitting 1.24 billion ounces while supply stagnates at 1.01 billion. They see the 250 million ounce gap. They know that in deficit situations, whoever holds physical metal wins. They're securing their lifeboat before ship sinking. They're ensuring that regardless of price levels, their factories continue operating. This is what Elon Musk meant by "this is not good." He isn't worried about chart prices. He worries about Texas and Berlin factories stopping because they can't acquire necessary conductive paste. He's realizing the free market for silver disappeared, replaced by state-controlled market where access is privilege, not right. This leads us directly into fundamental reality that financial world ignored too long. For decades, Wall Street told us silver was just volatile rock. They told us it was a pet rock. They told us it didn't matter. But industrial data tells different story. Data tells us silver is modern economy's oxygen. And right now, oxygen supply is being cut off by the one country controlling the valve. We need examining industrial reality of this market because the structural deficit isn't theory. It's mathematical certainty about to collide with this export ban in the most violent manner possible. You must understand China's export ban is just the match. The dynamite pile has been building for 5 years. Even before they decided nationalizing their supply, global silver markets were mathematically broken. We need discussing structural deficit because this is the data point transforming Elon Musk's "this is not good" tweet into prophecy. For the last 5 consecutive years, the world has consumed more silver than it produced. This isn't temporary glitch, not supply chain bottleneck caused by ships stuck in Suez Canal. This is geological reality. In 2025 alone, global demand for silver surged to 1.24 billion ounces, but global mining supply, it flatlined at 1.01 billion ounces. Do the math. That's nearly 250 million ounce gap in single year. Where did that extra silver come from? It came from above ground stockpiles, came from vaults in London and New York, came from recycling. But you can only drain a bathtub for so long before hitting the porcelain. And right now we're scraping bottom. Now, usually when a commodity gets too expensive, markets find substitutes. If copper gets too expensive, builders switch to aluminum piping. If platinum gets too pricey, car makers switch to palladium for catalytic converters. Wall Street assumes the same thing will happen with silver. They think if silver hits 100, Tesla will just use copper. They're wrong. And this is where physics enters. Silver is not just shiny metal. It's the single most electrically conductive element in the known universe. Conducts electricity better than copper, conducts better than gold, possesses highest thermal conductivity and highest optical reflectivity of any metal. In the world of high-efficiency electronics, in the world of EV batteries, 5G towers, and advanced solar panels, you cannot compromise on conductivity. If Elon Musk switches contacts in Tesla battery from silver to copper, efficiency drops, range decreases, heat increases, car becomes worse. If solar panel manufacturer switches from silver paste to copper paste, panel generates less power. In the race for energy dominance, good enough isn't an option. You need the best, and the best is silver. This explains why industrial demand now constitutes 50 to 60% of entire silver market. Think about that shift. 50 years ago, silver was for photography and silverware. It was precious metal. Today, it's strategic mineral. It's the DNA of green energy revolution. You cannot have Green New Deal. You cannot have net zero. You cannot have AI revolution without consuming billions of ounces of silver. This brings us back to Musk. He isn't just buying silver for jewelry. He's buying because his entire business model depends on it. Tesla and SolarCity are massive silver consumers. Every time they sell Model Y, they're selling silver. Every time they install solar roof, they're installing silver. Musk knows he's effectively world's largest naked short on physical silver. He's sold millions of cars and panels requiring silver in the future, but hasn't mined the metal yet. So when he sees China, the country refining vast majority of world silver, locking gates on January 1st, he realizes his supply chain is naked. He realizes the 250 million ounce deficit is about to become 400 million ounce deficit because Chinese supply is no longer available to the West. This transforms buyer psychology. For the last decade, industrial buyers were price sensitive. If silver went up, they bought less. Now they're price inelastic. If you need silver finishing a $50,000 electric car, you don't care if silver costs 25 or 100. Silver cost is tiny fraction of total vehicle cost, but without it, vehicle doesn't run. You'll pay any price acquiring metal. It's about chief procurement officers at Samsung, Apple, and Tesla screaming at suppliers to secure metal before competitors do. It's game of musical chairs, and China just removed half the chairs. Here's the most dangerous part for financial system. While industrial demand explodes to 1.24 billion ounces, paper market, futures market in New York still pretends silver is abundant. They're trading hundreds of times more paper than actually exist in vaults. They've built casino on top of mine that's running empty. We have specific number for this insanity. It's called paper to physical ratio. Right now, that ratio sits at 356 to 1. That means for every single ounce of real silver sitting in vault, there are 356 people holding paper claiming to own that ounce. What happens when Elon Musk and Samsung and Apple decide they don't want paper anymore? What happens when they demand physical metal because they need putting it into factory? The 356 claims collapse into one. 355 people get nothing. One person gets metal. This is death of paper scenario. And with China export bans starting in 4 days, we're about to see exactly what happens when paper promises collide with physical wall. In the next part, I'm going to break down this 356 to 1 ratio and explain why COMEX is effectively fractional reserve crime scene about to be exposed by industrial giants. Paper market is dying, physical market is taking over, and price is about to reflect reality. And if you think physical deficit is terrifying, you need looking at paper market because this is where crime scene is located. This is where greatest illusion in financial history is about to be shattered by brute force of industrial necessity. We have specific number defining this illusion. It's the paper to physical ratio. Right now, according to latest data from US Debt Clock and industry analysts, that ratio sits at approximately 356 to 1. I want you really visualizing what that number means. Imagine warehouse with single 1 ounce silver coin sitting on table in center of room. Now imagine line of 356 people standing outside that warehouse. Every single one of those people holds paper. That paper says, I own 1 ounce of silver stored in this warehouse. They all paid for it. They all believe they own it. Bank told them it was there.